In 2026, rebuilding yourself is not about becoming someone new. It is about remembering who you were before the world told you to shrink. It is about standing in the quiet truth of your own life and saying, I am still here, and I am still worthy of more. You may have walked through years that bent your back and tested your faith. You may have smiled while breaking, given while empty, hoped while hurting. But hear this clearly. Survival is not the end of your story. It is the foundation of your strength. To rebuild yourself is to gather the broken pieces without shame. You do not curse the storm for the wreckage. You thank yourself for learning how to stand again. Every scar you carry is proof that life tried to defeat you and failed. In 2026, you rise not loudly, not arrogantly, but with a quiet confidence that says, I know who I am and I know what I deserve. This is the year you stop asking for permission to exist fully. You breathe deeper. You speak truer. You choose peace even when chaos calls your name. Rebuilding yourself means understanding that joy is not a reward. You are allowed to claim it now. You stop postponing happiness until the world approves. You decide that your life is sacred and your time is not cheap. You rebuild by honoring your past without living in it. Yesterday may have shaped you, but it does not own you. You carry the wisdom forward and leave the wounds behind. You learn that strength is not in pretending you were never hurt. Strength is in saying, I was hurt and I healed anyway. In 2026, healing becomes your daily language. And as you rebuild, you remember this. You were never meant to be small. You were meant to rise, to love boldly, to live honestly, and to leave light wherever your feet touch the ground. The world does not need a perfect version of you. It needs the real one. Standing tall in truth, choosing yourself without apology is not selfishness. It is survival refined into wisdom. It is the moment you look at your life honestly and decide that you can no longer pour from a cup that has been empty for years. So many people wake up every morning already tired, not from work, not from effort, but from carrying expectations that were never theirs. They say yes when their spirit whispers no. They smile in rooms where they feel invisible. Choosing yourself begins when you stop betraying that inner whisper just to keep the peace outside. Think of the woman who stays late at work every single day, not because she loves the job, but because she is afraid of being called lazy. She misses dinners, ignores her health, postpones joy, all for applause that never quite comes. Choosing herself without apology means she leaves on time one day, heart racing, guilt heavy, but soul lighter. And when nothing terrible happens, when the world doesn't collapse, she learns a powerful truth. Her worth was never measured by exhaustion. That is how rebuilding begins, not with noise, but with one brave, quiet decision. There's a man who answers every call, solves every problem, becomes everyone's strength, yet has no one to lean on. When he finally says, I can't today, he feels shame before relief, but choosing himself without apology teaches him that being strong does not mean being available for abuse of your kindness. It means knowing when to rest your back against your own spine and trust it will hold you. Strength that ignores the self eventually collapses, but strength that honors the self becomes unbreakable. In daily life, choosing yourself can look painfully ordinary. It is a mother locking the bathroom door just to breathe for 5 minutes without guilt. It is a student changing a career path because the one they chose was pleasing everyone except their own heart. It is someone unfollowing accounts that quietly poison their self-worth, even if those accounts belong to friends. These moments don't trend online, but they build empires inside the soul. Choosing yourself without apology also means letting people misunderstand you. This is where many turn back. They fear being labeled difficult, changed, cold. But growth often looks like betrayal to those who benefited from your silence. When you stop overgiving, the takers complain. When you stop explaining, the manipulators panic. And that discomfort you feel is not guilt. It is withdrawal from years of self-neglect. Picture someone who has always been the nice one, the one who never argues, never demands, never takes up space. One day they speak firmly. The room goes quiet. Faces shift. That silence is not rejection, it is recalibration. You are teaching people how to treat you by how you treat yourself. And some lessons arrive with resistance. Choosing yourself means you no longer wait to be chosen. You stop delaying your dreams until someone believes in you. You enroll in the class, start the business, take the walk, apply for the opportunity. Even if your voice shakes, you learn that confidence is not loud certainty. It is quiet persistence. It is showing up for yourself even when no one is clapping yet. In relationships, choosing yourself without apology can feel like heartbreak before it feels like freedom. It is leaving conversations where you have to shrink to be loved. It is no longer auditioning for affection. It is realizing that love that costs you your dignity is too expensive. When you choose yourself, you don't beg to be understood. You stand where you are and let those who can meet you there come closer. Even in small daily habits, this choice reshapes life. Going to sleep instead of replying to one more message. Drinking water instead of proving toughness. Saying, I need help, instead of pretending you don't. These are not weak acts. They are declarations that your life is not an afterthought. And there will be days when choosing yourself feels lonely. Growth often is. But loneliness that leads you back to yourself is better than company that leads you away. Each time you honor your needs, you lay another brick in the home you are building within. A home where rest is allowed, where your voice echoes clearly, where your reflection no longer looks like a stranger. Choosing yourself without apology is the daily courage to say, I matter, not once, but again and again, in traffic, in offices, in kitchens, in quiet rooms at night, when old habits knock and old fears try to reclaim their space, when the world pulls and you pause long enough to remember that your life is not meant to be a performance, but a truth you live out loud, even when your hands are trembling, even when your path is still unfolding. Making peace with your past does not mean pretending it did not hurt. It means you stop reopening wounds just to remind yourself of the pain. Many people wake up every day carrying yesterday like a heavy bag they refuse to put down. They replay old conversations while brushing their teeth, relive mistakes while driving to work, and punish themselves in silence for choices made with the limited knowledge they had at the time. Peace begins when you finally understand that you cannot heal a moment you keep visiting with blame. Think of the person who failed an exam, lost a job, or made a decision that changed the course of their life. Years later, that memory still whispers, if only you were smarter, braver, better. Making peace with the past means answering that whisper with compassion. It means saying, I did the best I could with what I knew then. Growth does not come from self-attack, it comes from self-understanding. When you release the need to punish yourself, you create space to rebuild. There is someone who trusted the wrong people and paid for it emotionally. They replay the betrayal, not because they enjoy the pain, but because they think remembering it will protect them. But peace arrives when they realize wisdom does not require suffering on repeat. The lesson stays even when the wound closes. You can remember without bleeding. You can be cautious without being bitter. That is what emotional maturity looks like in daily life. In families, making peace with the past can be the hardest work. Maybe you grew up unheard, compared, or neglected in ways no one apologized for. You may still crave validation from people who are unable to give it. Peace begins when you stop waiting for closure from those who cannot offer it and start giving it to yourself. It is choosing to stop arguing with people in your head who are not listening in real life. It is accepting that some people will never understand the damage they caused and still deciding not to let that damage define your future. At work, the past often shows up as fear. Someone who was once humiliated for speaking up now stays silent in meetings. Someone who was fired once now overworks to exhaustion, trying to prove their worth. Making peace with the past means recognizing when old experiences are driving present behavior. It is telling yourself that was then. This is now. It is daring to speak again, to try again, even when your voice shakes because the past does not get to veto your future. Every day. But peace with the past also shows up in how you treat yourself in quiet moments. It is not wincing every time a memory surfaces. It is not turning a single mistake into a lifelong identity. One wrong turn does not make you a failure. One bad relationship does not make you unlovable. One lost opportunity does not mean your best days are behind you. Peace grows when you stop attaching permanent labels to temporary moments. There are people who cling to the past not because it was good, but because it is familiar. Even pain can feel safer than the unknown. Making peace means choosing the uncertainty of healing over the comfort of suffering. It is letting go of the version of yourself who survived, so the version who can thrive has room to breathe. This choice is quiet, but it changes everything. In daily interactions, peace with the past looks like responding instead of reacting. Someone says something that once would have triggered rage or tears, and now you pause. Not because you are numb, but because you are no longer living in that old wound. Healing is not the absence of memory, it is the absence of control the memory has over you. Making peace with your past also means forgiving yourself for not leaving sooner, not knowing better, not being stronger back then. You stop asking your younger self to have the wisdom of your current self. You honor that version of you for surviving what you now understand. Self-forgiveness is not weakness. It is the highest form of responsibility. And as peace settles in, something powerful happens. Your energy returns. You stop wasting emotional fuel on battles that are already over. You stop proving, defending, explaining. You walk lighter, not because life is easy, but because you are no longer dragging yesterday into today. The past becomes a reference, not a residence. You carry the lesson, release the weight, and breathe into the present with a calm that comes from knowing you are no longer at war with who you used to be. Turning pain into wisdom is not about glorifying suffering, it is about refusing to let suffering be wasted. Pain visits every life without permission. It arrives in broken relationships and sudden losses and disappointments that leave you staring at the ceiling, at night questioning everything you believed. But wisdom is born when you stop asking why the pain came and start asking what it came to teach. The wound may not be your choice, but what you carry forward from it always is. Think of the person who loved deeply and was left unexpectedly. The pain felt like a personal failure, like proof that they were not enough. For a long time, they questioned their worth, replayed every moment, blamed their heart for being open. Wisdom enters when they realize the pain was not evidence of weakness, but of courage. Loving fully is never a mistake. The wisdom learned is not to love less next time, but to love with clearer boundaries and deeper self-respect. In daily work life, pain often shows you P as rejection, a promotion denied, an idea ignored, a talent overlooked. At first, it stings the ego and shakes confidence. Many people shrink after that, choosing safety over expression, but turning that pain into wisdom means learning discernment. You understand that rejection is not always a verdict on your value. Sometimes it is simply misalignment. The lesson becomes persistence without bitterness, effort without self-erasure. Consider the person who grew up hearing more criticism than encouragement. Every achievement felt temporary, every mistake felt permanent. That pain shaped their inner voice into a harsh judge. Wisdom is born when they realize that voice was learned, not natural. They begin to speak to themselves differently, choosing gentleness where cruelty once lived. The pain teaches them empathy, making them the kind of person who uplifts others because they know what it feels like to be torn down. Physical pain, too, carries wisdom when listened to. Someone ignores exhaustion for years, pushing past limits, calling it ambition. The body eventually demands attention through illness or burnout. Pain becomes the messenger that says, rest is not laziness, it is intelligence. The wisdom gained is learning to honor the body as a partner, not a machine, understanding that sustainable success requires care, not sacrifice of self. Pain in friendships often reveals truths we avoided. Being excluded, betrayed, or taken for granted hurts deeply because it touches our to belong. At first, the pain tempts us to harden, to distrust everyone. Wisdom transforms that impulse. It teaches you to choose people who choose you, to value consistency over charm, and to walk away without hatred when respect is missing. You learn that peace is a better companion than forced connection. Daily life offers smaller pains that shape wisdom quietly. Missing a bus, making a public mistake, saying the wrong thing. These moments bruise pride more than anything else. When you turn them into wisdom, you learn humility without shame. You learn to laugh, to adapt, to forgive yourself quickly. Life becomes lighter when you stop demanding perfection from a human being. Pain also teaches patience. Someone works for years without visible results. Doubt creeps in, whispers that effort is pointless. Wisdom grows when they understand that growth is often invisible before it becomes undeniable. Pain teaches timing, teaching you to trust the process even when progress is silent. The struggle becomes proof of commitment, not evidence of failure. The most powerful wisdom pain offers is compassion. When you have suffered, you recognize pain in others without them speaking. You become slower to judge, quicker to understand. Your words soften, your presence steadies. The very experiences that once broke you become the reason someone else feels safe around you. Pain refines the heart when it is allowed to teach rather than poison. Turning pain into wisdom is choosing action over resentment. It is sitting with discomfort long enough to hear its message, then releasing it without clinging to the ache. Pain says, pay attention. Wisdom says, I have learned. The moment pain stops controlling your reactions and starts informing your choices, you have transformed it into something powerful. What once wounded you now guides you, shapes you, and strengthens the way you walk through the world. Protecting your inner joy is a sacred responsibility because the world is skilled at trying to steal it in small, ordinary ways. Joy rarely disappears in one dramatic moment. It is chipped away in traffic, in careless words, in comparison, in expectations you never agreed to carry. Many people think joy is something you find one day and keep forever, but real joy must be guarded daily, like a fragile flame in a windy place. Think of the person who wakes up already anxious, scrolling through their phone before their feet touch the floor. Other people's success, beauty, happiness parade across the screen, and slowly, quietly, joy leaks out. Protecting inner joy means knowing when to put the phone down and pick yourself up. It means understanding that comparison is a thief dressed as inspiration. Your life does not need to look like anyone else's to be meaningful. The moment you stop measuring your behind the scenes against someone else's highlight reel, your joy breathes again. In daily conversations, joy is often lost through over-explaining. Someone questions your choices, your pace, your priorities, and you feel the urge to justify your life as if it were on trial. Protecting your inner joy means realizing you do not owe everyone an explanation. Silence can be a boundary. Peace can be an answer. When you stop defending your happiness, you strengthen it. At work, inner joy is tested by pressure and politics. A person may love what they do, but slowly that love is drained by constant criticism, unrealistic demands, or toxic competition. Protecting joy does not always mean quitting immediately. Sometimes it means emotionally detaching from what does not define you. It is doing your work with integrity without tying your self-worth to approval. When you stop letting a bad meeting ruin your entire day, you reclaim power over your joy. In families, joy is often sacrificed in the name of duty. Someone may feel guilty for resting, for saying no, for choosing a different path. Protecting inner joy means understanding that love does not require self-erasure. You can honor others without abandoning yourself. You can care deeply and still choose differently. Joy survives when guilt is no longer allowed to make decisions for you. Protecting your inner joy also means being selective with your energy. Not every invitation deserves a yes. Not every argument deserves a response. Not every opinion deserves space in your mind. There are people who complain endlessly, criticize casually, drain silently. You may not be able to remove them from our life, but you can limit their access to your inner world. Joy grows where boundaries live. In friendships, joy is protected by honesty. Laughing while feeling unseen slowly poisons the heart. Protecting joy means speaking up before resentment takes root. It means choosing relationships where laughter feels light, not forced, where you are not performing happiness, but living it. When a connection consistently costs you peace, the price is too high. Daily routines also shape joy. Skipping meals, neglecting sleep, ignoring your body's signals slowly dulls your spirit. Protecting inner joy means treating your body like a home, not a burden. Drinking water, stepping outside, resting without apology are not luxuries. They are acts of self-respect. A cared-for body carries joy more easily. There are moments when joy must be protected from your own mind. Old memories, regrets, imagined futures creep in and cloud the present. Protecting joy means bringing yourself back to now, breathing, grounding, remembering that this moment, imperfect as it is real and alive. Joy often lives in what is ordinary and available, not in what is distant and ideal. Even dreams can threaten joy when they turn into pressure. Wanting more is healthy, but hating your present self in the process is not. Protecting inner joy means allowing yourself to be proud of how far you've come while still moving forward. Ambition does not have to be cruel to be effective. Protecting your inner joy is an act of courage in a world that profits from your dissatisfaction. It is choosing softness without weakness, boundaries without bitterness, happiness without permission. Every time you choose peace over proving, rest over rushing, presence over pressure, you are standing guard at the door of your soul, refusing to let the noise of the world decide how brightly you are allowed to shine. Speaking your truth with grace is a powerful balance, because truth without grace becomes a weapon, and grace without truth becomes silence that suffocates the soul. Many people grow up learning to swallow their feelings to keep harmony, to soften their voice so others feel comfortable, to carry emotional weight quietly so no one is disturbed. Over time, that silence turns heavy. Speaking your truth is not about being loud or aggressive. It is about being honest without cruelty, firm without bitterness, clear without apology. Think of the person in a meeting who has an idea but stays quiet because the last time they spoke, they were dismissed. Their chest tightens, their thoughts race, and they convince themselves that staying silent is safer. Speaking their truth with grace begins when they finally raise their hand, voice calm but steady, words chosen with care. Even if the room does not immediately applaud, something shifts inside them. Self-respect grows the moment you honor your own voice. In families, truth is often avoided to keep peace. Someone tolerates hurtful jokes, unfair treatment, or constant comparison, telling themselves it is easier not to say anything. But unspoken truth leaks out in resentment and distance. Speaking with grace means choosing a moment of calm, not confrontation, and saying, "This hurts me," instead of attacking. It is expressing impact rather than intention, allowing honesty to open doors instead of slamming them. At work, speaking your truth can feel risky. An employee notices unrealistic expectations or disrespectful behavior but fears being labeled difficult. Grace steps in when truth is spoken with professionalism and clarity. It is saying, "I want to do my best work, and this approach is not sustainable," instead of staying silent until burnout. Truth delivered with respect has the power to reshape environments even when it is uncomfortable. In friendships, speaking your truth with grace saves connections from slow decay. Laughing through discomfort, agreeing when you don't, pretending everything is fine, eventually creates emotional distance. Graceful truth-telling sounds like honesty without accusation. It sounds like I felt overlooked, not "you always ignore me." When truth is wrapped in ownership, it invites understanding instead of defense. There are moments when speaking your truth means disagreeing openly. Someone challenges your values, your boundaries, your choices. Grace is not shrinking. It is standing firm without needing to dominate. It is saying, "I see it differently," without belittling another perspective. You learn that disagreement does not require disrespect, and conviction does not require volume. Speaking your truth also applies to how you talk to yourself. Many people are brutally honest inwardly, but without grace. They call it realism, but it is often self-cruelty. Speaking truth with grace internally means acknowledging mistakes without destroying your confidence. It is saying, "I made a mistake and I can learn," instead of "I am a failure." The way you speak to yourself sets the tone for how the world is allowed to speak to you. In daily life, truth with grace appears in small moments. Declining an invitation without over-explaining, correcting a misunderstanding calmly, admitting you need help without shame. These moments may seem minor, but they build a life where your inner world and outer words align. Integrity grows when you no longer perform comfort at the expense of honesty. There will be times when your truth is not received well. Grace does not guarantee approval. It guarantees self-respect. When someone reacts defensively or distances themselves, it does not mean you were wrong to speak. It means the truth touched something they were not ready to face. You learn to release the outcome and honor the courage it took to be honest. Speaking your truth with grace is a daily practice of courage and kindness. It requires patience, emotional awareness, and a willingness to be seen as you are. Each time you choose clarity over confusion, honesty over avoidance, you strengthen your sense of self. Your voice becomes a bridge instead of a wall, a light instead of a flame, steady, warm, and unmistakably yours. Believing in your becoming means trusting a version of yourself that you cannot fully see yet. It is faith in motion, confidence under construction, hope walking on unfinished ground. Many people only believe in themselves once results appear, once success becomes visible, once others start clapping. But real belief begins earlier, in the quiet season, when nothing around you seems to confirm what you feel inside. It is choosing to honor the process even when progress feels invisible. Think of the person learning a new skill after years of self-doubt. The first attempts are awkward. Mistakes feel loud. Comparison creeps in quickly. Believing in your becoming means showing up again the next day, not because you are good yet, but because you are growing. It is understanding that mastery does not arrive fully formed. It is built through patience and persistence. Each imperfect effort is not proof of failure, but evidence of commitment. In daily work life, becoming often looks like being underestimated. Someone takes on a new role and feels behind everyone else. Meetings feel intimidating. Questions feel risky. Belief grows when they stop interpreting confusion as incompetence. Learning is not weakness, it is transition. When you trust your becoming, you allow yourself to ask, to stumble, to learn out loud. You understand that confidence grows through experience, not before it. Believing in your becoming is especially hard when your past does not look impressive. Maybe you started late, maybe you changed directions, maybe you carry gaps in your story that feel like flaws. Belief reframes those gaps as chapters, not defects. Life is not a straight line for most people. Detours do not disqualify you. They deepen you. What looks like delay may actually be preparation happening quiet. In relationships, believing in your becoming means refusing to settle for who you used to be. Someone may remind you of your old mistakes, your old patterns, your former limits. Growth feels threatening to those who benefit from your stagnation. Belief gives you the courage to say, without arrogance, that is not who I am anymore. You stop shrinking to fit outdated versions of yourself just to make others comfortable. Daily habits reveal belief more than words. Someone wakes up early to work on a dream before the house stirs, not because motivation is overflowing, but because belief is disciplined. Another person chooses therapy, journaling, or solitude, even when it feels uncomfortable. These small choices say, I trust who I am becoming enough to invest in it. Belief is rarely loud, it is consistent. There are days when becoming feels slow and frustrating. Progress does not announce itself. You look in the mirror and still see flaws. You look at your life and still see work to be done. Believing in your becoming means resisting the urge to quit just because you are not there yet. Growth is often happening beneath the surface, like roots spreading before the tree is visible. In daily conversations, belief changes your language. You stop saying, I'm not good at this, and start saying, I'm learning. You stop labeling yourself by temporary struggles. Words shape identity. When you speak with belief, you create space for evolution. You allow yourself to be unfinished, without being unworthy. Believing in your becoming also means forgiving yourself for slow days. Not every step will feel strong. Some days you rest, some days you doubt. Belief does not demand perfection, it allows humanity. It understands that growth includes pauses, setbacks, and recalibration. What matters is not constant motion, but continued intention. Even fear changes shape when belief is present. Fear does not disappear, but it no longer controls decisions. You move forward with trembling hands, trusting that courage is not the absence of fear, but the refusal to obey it. Each time you choose action over avoidance, belief strengthens quietly. Believing in your becoming is choosing patience over pressure, compassion over comparison, trust over timelines. It is waking up and committing again, even when yesterday felt heavy. The future you is not a fantasy, it is a direction. And every small step you take today is already proof that becoming is happening. You are not standing at the end of something. You are standing at the beginning of yourself. Everything you have heard, felt, and recognized within these words is not meant to impress you, but to awaken you. Because the truth is simple and timeless. You have always been more powerful than the moments that tried to break you. Life did not spare you, but it shaped you. It did not excuse you from pain, but it trusted you with growth. And now, here you are, still breathing, still dreaming, still becoming. There is a saying that people may forget what you said and forget what you did, but they will never forget how you made them feel. And the most important feeling you must never forget is how it feels to come back to yourself. When you choose yourself, when you forgive your past, when you turn pain into wisdom, when you guard your joy, when you speak your truth, and when you believe in your becoming, you are not changing who you are. You are returning to who you were always meant to be. Let the world be loud if it wants to. You no longer need to prove your worth by suffering in silence. You no longer need permission to rest, to rise, to shine. Your life is not an apology. Your presence is not an inconvenience. You are allowed to take up space with grace and walk forward with quiet confidence. The strongest people are not those who never fell, but those who learned how to stand without bitterness. Remember this deeply. Nothing can dim the light that shines from within. Storms may pass through your life, but they do not own the sky. You are not defined by what tried to defeat you. You are defined by what you decided to become afterward. And becoming is not rushed. Becoming is patient. Becoming is sacred. There will be days when the mirror questions you, when progress feels slow, when doubt knocks loudly. On those days, remember this truth. Courage does not roar. Sometimes courage is the soft voice at the end of the day saying, I will try again tomorrow. That voice is enough. That voice is power. Walk forward knowing that you do not need to be perfect to be worthy. You only need to be honest. Honest with your heart. Honest with your healing. Honest with your dreams. Life bends for those who refuse to break and rises with those who refuse to give up on themselves. Carry your story proudly. It is not heavy because it is weak. It is heavy because it is rich with survival, lessons, and resilience. You were built from prayers, patience, and perseverance you didn't even know you had. And that is why your future deserves your faith. So go gently, go bravely, go truthfully. Choose peace over pressure. Choose growth over fear. Choose yourself over doubt. The world is waiting not for a perfect version of you, but for a real one who knows their worth, protects their light, and walks forward unafraid. And when you rise, and you will rise knowing that your voice matters, your joy matters, your becoming matters, you are not late. You are not lost. You are exactly where transformation begins,